But let's begin with the self-proclaimed man of God who preys on vulnerable Australians. Trevor Robinson promises cancer victims an instant cure, but he's really nothing more than a con man who urges people to turn their back on conventional medicine.
Light, light, light. I call on the light of the infinite spirit. I call on the light and energy of the Mahatma. I am not a doctor. I'm a metaphysician. The ones that are looking after you are up there. I call on the light of my own mastery. I call on the light of the great central moon. I call on the light of the goddess.
Reverend Trevor Robinson tells the world he cures cancer in a jiffy. On his website and in his emails, he claims dozens of successes. And today, in this Brisbane hotel room, he's trying for cure number 42. Anne.
Well, I was diagnosed with early breast cancer, and the treatment was a lumpectomy with radiotherapy. You know, when I was diagnosed, in the mornings, I would plan my own funeral. That's what goes on in your head. So when someone says they have a cure, you'll grasp at straws.
Here to support Anne is a current affair producer, Aaron O'Brien. We want to put Reverend Robinson's self-proclaimed extrasensory powers to the test, and the healer is keen for us to video his work, but he still expects his usual $2,500 fee. He'll have to earn it.
Let me see how many fractures you've got in the left nipple chakra.
He starts with a psychic examination of her disease.
You've got 70 fractures. Okay. Which is, how old are you?
61.
61. So that's above average, right? The negative beliefs or negative thoughts will fracture the chakra.
His beliefs focus on the Indian concept of energy centres or chakras.
And when you get 60 fractures in any one chakra, that's when cancer begins.
And he claims that damage to these is the cause of cancer. By calling down heavenly spirits, the damage, he says, can be repaired.
At the end of this healing session, you won't have any cancer cells in your body. And my specialty is the energy body. And there's nobody in the world that understands the energy body better than I do.
It's not only hard to understand, it beggars belief. But then there's his so-called treatment, a 25-minute prayer that invokes every god and angel in the cosmos to vanquish cancer and many other life-threatening diseases.
I call on the light of the Council of 9, the Council of 12, the 24 elders, the 144,000 Melchizedek elders and all of the members of the Galactic Healing Council and the Galactic Federation.
So it's time to write him off as a nutter, right? Why bother giving any space to such an absurd philosophy? Well, this is where we have to start taking Reverend Trevor Robinson a little more seriously, because we're talking about cancer.
When you're diagnosed, you'll try anything, you'll pay anything, you'll go anywhere when someone says they can cure you. And unfortunately, all they're doing is delaying diagnosis and putting you more at risk.
You are your most vulnerable. I mean, you're your lowest ebb. I was told I've got 12 months to live. And so there are people who think, gee, should I? And it puts the doubts in their doctors.
Reverend Robinson wrote to Darren Hinch offering his cure for Darren's liver cancer. Now, Darren, as you probably know, eventually got a liver transplant, but he's still fuming over the offer of an instant cure.
How dare you? You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what my family's going through. I mean, I've got a time bomb ticking here.
But what really sends alarm bells ringing in the medical fraternity about Reverend Trevor is his insistence that patients can forget about surgery and chemotherapy if they have his cure.
And the doctor said I needed surgery and then
Yes, I know.
chemotherapy after that. And you're telling me that you can cure me without that?
Your case number 42, right?
But everyone else has been successful, haven't they?
100%.
Look, alternate medicine practitioners that try and dissuade people from conventional therapy, it's very dangerous.
The Cancer Council's Professor Ian Olver says conventional surgery or chemotherapy offer the greatest hope of survival, and any delay is critical.
It's robbing people of that opportunity and not substituting anything sensible in its place. So it's a very dangerous practice.
Meanwhile, back at the consultation, Rev Robinson has established Anne definitely has cancer just by reading her vibes.
You do have cancer. You're in stage 1 of cancer.
He's called down heaven's unseen specialists.
I asked the above-mentioned heavenly hierarchy to discreate all aneurysms, tumours, the tumours in Anne's left breast. I work directly with the team up there. How far is heaven from any place on earth?
And now finally, he's finishing his spiel.
So Anne is free of cancer now?
Yes.
The truth is, Anne has been free of cancer for years. She was successfully treated by conventional surgery and chemo a decade ago. She's had checkups twice a year since then, the last in April this year, and she remains completely clear of breast cancer. Anne, real name Loretta, is also a member of the Skeptics Society.
I think his strategy is he's deluded, clearly deluded, because there's absolutely nothing that he says there that either the church or Eastern medicine would back up.
That is the biggest load of codswallop I have ever heard.
Well, that's
that
your
is
opinion.
Hocus pocus, ridiculous. And you are actually charging cancer patients to do this?
Yes, and they're absolutely
What
free
kind of
cancer.
cruel joke is that?
Excuse me?
Well, what if I tell you that Anne never had cancer in the first place?
Well, she did. She was at 28%. She was in stage 1 of cancer.
We have a situation here where anybody can set themselves up as a person that cures cancer, and there's absolutely nothing that can be done about it.
You actually want to charge people money for all of that hocus pocus? That's complete and utter rubbish.
Where's your proof?
Where is your proof?
Well,
You've
that's
cured a woman who didn't have cancer of cancer? Is that your proof? You didn't. Why didn't your host tell you that she didn't have cancer?
Well,
Nothing I or anyone else can say to Reverend Robinson is likely to convince him to stop what he's doing. But there is one person who may be able to slow him down.
Words cannot even start to explain or describe an individual who would put themselves between an individual suffering from cancer and a cure.
New South Wales Fair Trading Minister Anthony Roberts is appalled by what he's learned, and he's going to use his full powers.
He must substantiate his claims of being able to cure cancer. If he can't substantiate that, he faces fines of up to $220,000, and I intend pursuing this individual to the full extent of the law.
And although Reverend Robinson seems to be clearly in breach of the Code of Conduct for non-medical practitioners, he equally clearly just doesn't seem to care.
You know it's against the Code of Conduct.
so what you're saying is that we cannot pray.
No, I'm saying you cannot promise people that you can cure them of cancer. You are not allowed to. And yet you're doing it. Aren't you ashamed?
No, I'm not ashamed because I know what works.
The laws need to be tightened. I mean, a man like this should not be allowed to keep going.
Would you give me a list of the 41 patients who you have cured successfully of cancer so that I can go and check with them?
I think that's a no.
These people claim they've cured sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of patients, but where are they? They don't exist.
I can't even wish you well. I just wish you would stop.
I think anyone who has seen a loved one battle cancer would be enraged by that report. And if you've had any dealings with Trevor Robinson, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email or give us a call.